fight cause I'm very nice. I practice it every night to get on this herd mic. You know I'm alert, right? You know that it ain't nothing to serve, right? And I be killing tracks to the earth like my birthright. I'm solid like sound money and you fools sound.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to evaluate the 13 releases WWE did on June 25th, 2021. So let's start at the beginning. Kenice Mobley, the writer who didn't know who Bobby Lashley was, admitted on a podcast she was in no way qualified to be a wrestling writer. Got canned. It happened sooner than I thought. If we being honest, it just happened sooner than I thought. Here's it to you. You know, a little piece of advice. Make sure that if you're not qualified, you shut up about not being qualified. And then don't embarrass the company. Because, you know, look, from what I've seen, that was really the problem. Is that she went on this podcast and basically said, well, I didn't need to know anything about wrestling to get hired. And people were kind of like, yeah, we don't need people going out here telling folks that. You know, it's very unprofessional. She didn't know the talent. To be quite honest, I think she only been there like a week or two. She hadn't been there long. As far as when the podcast came out, which was June the 7th, she hadn't even started yet. So that was just 3 weeks ago. So that means she probably worked 2 weeks in the company and got canned. I mean, do you even put it on your resume at that point? Do you even put WWE writer on your resume when you only did it for 2 weeks? She probably barely even know where the bathrooms are. So, I don't know. But, of course, there's no loss here. Who cares? You know, she's a stupid writer. Hopefully she can go back to, quote-unquote, writing comedy. That should be in brackets. Writing comedy. Why did I say brackets? I meant quotation marks. All right, so let's talk about the big release. The biggest release, of course, is Fandango and Tyler Breeze. Mainly because of the length of how long they've been around, the length of their tenure. So Tyler Breeze has been under contract for years. Let's just put it like that. 4 years. He was, you know, one of those guys they were thinking about firing before NXT even really got started. If you know his story, you know that Tyler Breeze was a guy who was on the rocks before he came up with the Tyler Breeze character. Fandango was a guy Vince McMahon saw a lot in. He had a WrestleMania debut, defeated Chris Jericho. He became a worldwide phenomenon with the dance and everything. And then he got injured. And after that injury, it was over. He just never managed to get that momentum back. And they did a lot of different things with Fandango. They did the Rosa Mendez thing. I think it was Rosa Mendez. Or was it Summer Rae? I think he did both of them, right? I loved that when he was doing the thing with the girls. He had the rose in his mouth and everything. I dug that. I thought that was pretty cool. A couple of years ago, after he had gotten injured, he got injured a lot, if we're being honest. Then I remember seeing a video on WWE PC where he said when he came back to NXT or SmackDown or whatever, he wanted to do something different. He didn't really want to be Fandango anymore. He didn't really want to do Breezango anymore. And I thought, okay, he's going to get the opportunity to do something different, especially when they was moved to NXT. And no, it was just Breezango. And I hate Breezango. I thought they were funny on SmackDown when they were doing the comedy skits. I thought they were good. But I think that they kind of ran their course, you know. They did all the funny stuff that they could do. And they just became like comedians that only know the same joke. They just dress funny. They look weird to do Fashion Police. I loved it. I loved the Fashion Police when they were doing it. But in 2021, they had already been doing it for like 4 years. Like, enough. You know, we can't do it anymore. Like, and it sucks that they got fired before they got an opportunity to do something different. Even though, you know, hey, they've been around for a long time. That's kind of reason enough. And that's kind of like the going on, with the exception of like 2 or 3 of these guys on the NXT 205 Live cuts. These guys been around forever, you know. But, of course, we're not going to lose anything with Tyler Breeze and Fandango being fired. I don't see them going out there and of course making WWE feel bad. These guys were on the roster forever. So it is what it is. So the next releases is Everrise. Everrise rules. They got great personality. I was just talking about them in the NXT review. I never really got to see what they could do because they just kept working job matches. That was pretty much it. I never really got to sit down and watch them. But they had pretty good personality. The NXT seems to have something for them as far as, they had a show and everything. So it sucks that they got canned. But it sucks that anybody got canned. So I'm gonna be fair. It's not like WWE is gonna miss anything with these talent, but it's always sucking to see somebody get fired. Tony Nese was released. Tony Nese is a guy who's been there since he's one of the original OGs of 205 Live. I think I just made a joke about him on the NXT show. He never left the cruiserweight division. They just never decided to bring him up. He was on SmackDown for a little bit, and I think he did some shots on Raw. He did a shot on NXT, but he was just a permanent 205 Live guy. And so, obviously he was going to get released. Arya Daivari, same thing. I would think that, his brother being there, people would kind of be like, well, to cut up some slack. But of course not. Tino Sabatelli, who they just rehired, they had fired him last year, I think. When he wanted the guys fired last year. August Gray, he wrestled in Evolve. He's one of the Evolve talent they brought in. I said that, if you're going to buy Evolve and buy the library and put all those guys out of work, you should have given them a job. And they gave August Gray a job for a little while. And it's unfortunate. He never really got a chance to shine in NXT. He was stuck in 205 Live. Same thing with Kurt Stallion. Now, Kurt Stallion I actually like. I think that they actually, he's got talent. But Triple H didn't use any of these people. So it makes sense that he went through, or Nick Khan went through and just took a hatchet to them. Because 90% of these people were not being used. Or they were not being used regularly. I'm talking about on mainstream WWE television. So now the Bollywood boys, they've been there forever. I don't see why they couldn't be put back with Jinder Mahal, but I think it was how much are they getting paid and that kind of stuff. So that it makes sense. Plus Jinder Mahal has new guys. Marina Shafir, who I thought was going to be a part of Diamond Mine with Roderick Strong, but apparently not. But she's been on the roster for a long time too. Hasn't done anything. She's been on the roster. I think she was on the roster before Shayna Baszler, I believe. She's been on the roster for a long time. And she just has not done anything. Arturo Ruas. He was another one that they signed him, I think, straight from Brazil, and they sent him to Evolve to work. He's not a bad technician, but his personality was kind of like non-existent. He's kind of like another Steve Blackman. So, we really don't need him. And I guess another big release is Killian Dane, because he was actually featured pretty regularly on NXT in relation to being the tag team partner of Drake Maverick. So, why would you fire one half of a tag team? Of course, it would suck if you fired Drake Maverick again, just a year after he went through that whole ordeal of getting fired last year. But Killian Dane is the husband of Nikki Cross. He was a big dude that they just did not use as a big dude. Look at the guy. He's gigantic and hairy. He looks like a nightmare. I don't see why they wouldn't use him. And this is, there was a while there where he wanted to get released. Before the whole thing with Drake Maverick and the tag team, he actually wanted to get released because he wasn't doing anything. He was a member of Sanity. He was sitting around on the roster not doing nothing, week after week after week of doing nothing. This was when they were on SmackDown, and then he's sent back to NXT. And then it was the same thing in NXT. They just didn't see anything in him. There's just no use for big guys in WWE anymore. I don't see why this guy wasn't pummeling Bronson Reed for 3 or 4 weeks and leading up to that big horse fight between the two of them. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. Why is Bronson Reed having fucking matches with guys half his size when you've got guys on the roster who can physically challenge him and you didn't want to use it? It just seems stupid to me. It's dumb. All of these people, You could have done well with the Ascension, Kenise Mobley. There's nothing you can do with that. You can't fix stupid. But a lot of these other people, if they had been using them, it might have been a bigger loss. But they weren't using any of these people anyway, so there's no real loss. But some of these folks did have some time. The Bollywood Boys, Fandango, Killian Dane, they've been around for a while. So, but they are bringing in new talent, and they will be bringing in new talent in the future. So they're trying to clear up the division. This is obviously a hatchet job to 205 Live. But they're going to replenish the division with new talent because there's constantly new people coming in. So that begs the question, are we looking at the axing of 205 Live and it being completely gone? Or is it going to be a revamp of 205 Live? Triple H does have an idea of wanting to put more emphasis on the Cruiserweight title. They actually got to main event the show, the NXT show this week. So maybe there's, the promise of more interest in the Cruiserweight division means that we have to do something to replenish the Cruiserweight division. And in doing that, some of these cuts make sense. Tyler Breeze and Fandango are elder statesmen on the roster. Arya Daivari, turning east, they've been there forever. Killian Dane was probably just holding back Drake Maverick if that's what they want to do. But I think, I personally like Kurt Stallion. But if they're going to revamp the division with fresh blood, this makes sense. If they're just going to kill the division, then take an axe to it and she just canceled the show. But I do like that August Gray made a little joke about getting released that his match was a loser leaves town match. Because he spoiled the match and while also telling people to watch it. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. If you love what I do, donate, please. Also via Subscribestar or via Cash App. I prefer Subscribestar if you ask me. But thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session where you got an affection for no progression, regression. The best